Hey, welcome back. It's time for some more Living Hope, a weekly journey designed to provide hope, inspiration, and education for those living with pancreatic cancer. Sharing the real-life stories of those really affected by this deadly disease and how they deal with it on a daily basis. And today, well, we got a couple of them that are going to talk about it today, starting with our host, Roberta Luna. Welcome.
Thank you, Paul. It's good to be back.
We've missed you. You were gone for a couple of weeks there.
Yeah.
You were in top secret things with the Defense Department. I still don't know what you do for the Defense Department. But.
And you probably won't ever know. I had to sign a non-disclosure, so we just don't know. We just are there.
Okay.
So we're good. We're good. Thank you. But today I'm really excited because we have the incredible Wendy Hammers joining us. Wendy is a stage 4 pancreatic cancer thriver, writer, performer, and comedian. Wendy brings heart, humor, and honesty to every part of her journey. Did I get something wrong there, Wendy? You made a face. So
yes.
Please go ahead.
I am not stage 4.
Okay.
But I am, everything else you said is perfectly accurate. I'm grateful to be alive and well. Stage 1B, which is a polite way of saying stage 2.
Oh, so, wonderful. Where did I ever get stage 4 from? Something when I researched.
I am an overachiever, so perhaps you thought I had a higher number.
That could be. I mean, this is the one thing you don't want to overachieve in. I can really
it's the one thing that I'm glad was incorrect in what you said. But at any stage there's recovery from this illness. We know this.
Yeah, and okay, so you were really diagnosed very early because you said stage 1B, right?
I was. I was fortunate. I had extraordinary pain in my body, like pain you couldn't ignore. There's no way you could tell us, oh, I had, too many burritos. It wasn't that kind of pain. It was in the left-hand side of my body, right below my left rib, where I'm reaching here, and, between my rib and my hip.
And how long did you have the pain?
Great question. I would say, a good week and a half of me saying to my husband, I went all California on him. I'm like, oh, I think I had bad sushi. I just need a juice cleanse and a yoga class. He's like, yeah, I don't think this is a funky tuna roll. You're like writhing on the floor. Please go to the doctor. And then I did the craziest thing, the thing that, most wives do not do. I listened to my husband.
Oh my goodness.
Whoever heard of such a thing? And he was correct. So
yeah. So then what did you do? You went to your regular doctor?
No, I went to a gastro.
Oh, how did you
gastroenterologist. I always forget to say that.
Why did you start there instead of going most people would go to their primary care doctor?
Because I had been so healthy most of my life that I really had my gynecologist. I didn't even have a regular doctor. Oh. And so she had recommended this person, Dr. Mark Wishengrad. She'd recommended him for years for colonoscopy, and I kept putting it off, making excuses. So I had his card. So I was like, all right, I'll go already. And he was the one that was able to quickly get me on the right path and diagnose, and then refer me to my oncologist and my surgeon. And we were on a path at UCLA to go towards health.
And how did they diagnose you?
I had a scan. First, they saw that there was something there. They said there's a slight chance that it's benign. I said, okay, I'll assume that's true. And a few days later, they said, no, it is in fact a cancer, and it is malignant.
And they found that in the scan? Did they do a biopsy to?
They found it in the scan.
Oh, wow.
I believe that is correct.
And then what did they do from there?
I said right away, well, what's the solution? How quickly do we get into solution? I think I had the reaction that a lot of people find, which is, if I'm going to fix this, let's do it now. And, let's get me the next available appointment. And they said, it's a relatively slow growing cancer, pancreatic cancer, but yes, of course, let's get into treatment. They suggested 12 rounds of chemo, and a Whipple procedure, which I was eligible for. And so we went right in. I would say from the time I was diagnosed to the time I had my first chemo was probably it was inside of a month. It was probably 3 weeks.
I think Paul has a question for you.
You're the first person in all the years it's been on who said it's a slow-growing cancer. My perception was it's a fast-growing cancer because so many people die from it. So,
well, maybe because I was early stage, or maybe...
Well, there are also 2 different types of pancreatic cancer. I don't know if you were diagnosed with the neuroendocrine or the adenocarcinoma. So
you're so fancy with those big words. Look at
okay, that's because I've got 23 years experience.
You do.
That's time you should know how to pronounce.
You are the queen, right? The PC queen. You do know all these things. I don't know the answer to that. I wish I did, but I know that they said. I think they said that to make me feel better, because I said, can we start the treatment yesterday? And they go, no, we can start in a couple of weeks, but a few weeks won't make that much of a difference, is what they said.
Because Roberta's always chastising people, including her original doctor, said, well, let's wait. Let's see if it's something else. Let's take some time. And in that time, precious moments tick away here, and
Right.
you may be too late.
No,
Yeah.
I do agree with that. I do think that as soon as you have a proper diagnosis, you should absolutely get into whatever action and, whatever protocols you feel like you're going to move forward with. And I just want to say right away that I really felt like I wanted to do everything Western and everything Eastern that made sense to me. So I did all the traditional 12 rounds of FOLFIRINOX, or as our doctors love to call it, as you know, FU, FU, which is, yeah. And then
Call it FU.
Oh yeah, no, I don't give credit for that. The doctors told me this is what we call it here.
Because I know you're a comedian,
I am.
so maybe you're making this up.
I'm not. I am a comedian. I'm not making that part up. But yes, well, your listeners will judge whether or not I'm a comedian if they're laughing. So then I did the Whipple procedure, which I know you did not. You did not have. You were not eligible. So the Whipple procedure is, again, I'm going to date myself here, nothing to do with the guy who says, please don't squeeze the Charmin. Remember him? He's Mr. Whipple. Nothing to do with that. But it's a procedure that if you're eligible for it, it can be a game changer. And I do think it was a huge part of the reason I'm sitting here in front of you today.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I think you made the right move is to hurry up and get it done. I don't care. I always am so worried when the doctors say, oh, let's just wait and see what happens. That wasn't a good thing to say to me. So I'm really glad that you took the initiative and did something.
Yeah. By the way, I'm really glad you're alive. Can I just say, I've been interviewed. I just thought
we are too.
Right? And
Still wouldn't be the same without her.
And not that I'm not glad you're alive. I just met you. You're great. But you, the reason I say that is because I've been interviewed by a lot of people, but none of them were pancreatic cancer survivors. So I feel like you're my sister. And
Yeah, well, we are sisters.
I
Right?
know.
Right.
So
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, very much so. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Of
course.
I'm glad you're happy. I hope not everybody is, apparently, but that's okay too.
that you're alive.
Yeah.
Your husband is. I've talked to him.
Very much. So thank you.
Good. Excellent.
Yes. But so how do you think this perspective changed your life? Getting this diagnosis, or did it change it?
Yes, it definitely changed my life. I was an optimistic person to begin with, and I think that my optimism and my attitude was a great part of why I am here. But the way it changed my life, I made my health my number one priority, and all the decisions I make in my life are connected to that. I really make decisions about who and what I choose to have in my life as to whether or not it's going to bring me closer to my continued health or further from it. Because I feel like I hit the lottery once. I don't know that I can hit it twice. I really do.
Yeah.
So I don't have people in my life that are strainers and drainers. I do my best to surround myself with people that I feel I get them and they get me.
I think that's the best way, and sometimes it's hard to handle it that way. But you know what? You really have to, because so much plays on your survival, your thriving.
Absolutely.
You said you do Western and Eastern medicine. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the traditional Western, of course, would be the chemo and the surgery. My treatment was at UCLA, and the other part of the treatment that was through the medical community that has been so valuable is the work that, how you and I first connected through the Augie Hirschberg Foundation and the Center for Pancreatic Cancer Research at UCLA. The emotional support that I received from Amy Reese and that whole community. We love Amy. Shout out to Amy Reese.
We love Amy.
Yeah. But that was invaluable. And even simple things like my traditional doctor, Dr. Donahue, saying, you've got this thing, but we've got this together. You're going to be fine, and I'm going to be right here holding your hand the whole time. He literally said that. I needed a touchy-feely doctor, like warm and friendly. I didn't need like a, all business doctor. That wouldn't have been good for me. In terms of non-traditional, the Eastern treatment, well, the work I did with Marissa Harris was a lot about writing and meditating and conversations over and over again about what I wanted my life to look like on the other side of the cancer. Like she said to me in our first session that we did, she's a cancer coach, and also a 28-year survivor, 24-year survivor.
I want to say somewhere up in there.
Yeah, stage 4. The people said, you're not coming back from this. Her doctor said, we're very sorry to tell you this, but you need to get your affairs in order. And to which she replied, I'm very sorry to tell you this. I can't die because I need to dance at my daughter's wedding someday. And here she is. So now she's a coach. And she said to me, early on, she said to me in our first meeting, so 3 years from now, you and I are going to get together in New York and have lunch. And we're going to talk about how the last 3 years of your life were the best 3 years of your life. Now, most people don't, when they get cancer, they don't immediately thinking about, oh, I can't wait. The next 3 years are going to be so much fun for me and this fabulous cancer stuff.
Right.
But that attitude kept me focused on visioning what I was going towards. And that kept me out of being scared about where I was in the moment. I wasn't really frightened as I was going through it.
Somebody wants to know, and me too, I never heard the term creative cancer. coach?
Oh, that's hilarious. She's a cancer coach. That was my, boy, somebody's listening really well.
Yeah.
Your listeners are
She's
sharp.
not just a cancer coach, she's a creative
Well,
cancer
I am a
coach.
creative coach. I work with people with writing. So that's why I got a little confused there. She's a cancer coach, but she was very creative in her approach. She did everything from, we did tapping,
Yeah.
the kind of
yes.
tapping to ground yourself. We did meditation. We did lots and lots of writing. We talked about food. We talked about, everything you put in your body, mind, and soul. We talked about. And she really said to me, what would you really love in your life right now? Again, most people in the first 90 days of their cancer experience, they're thinking about, I can't believe I have to have another blood test. I think I need a vomit bag, whatever you're thinking about, right? All the things that we have to deal with. Or like me, who was convinced myself, I was so nuts. I convinced myself that when I wore the Depends, which were required because I was having difficulty,
Right.
that if I rolled them down, that they look sexier that way. Isn't that true, Paul?
Oh, very,
Yeah.
very much. So.
so I was really, that's what I was filling my mind with. But again, if you can have fun and laugh at yourself in the middle of this insanity that we are going through, it does help. And not that everybody has to be a stand-up comic, but that to think of humor as something that gives you perspective and the big picture of, I'm going through this thing. It's temporary. Even if it's metastatic, it's still not all of who we are. Like
Right.
you and I have and had cancer, but we are not cancer. I think this is a really important distinction to make.
No, I think you're right. And I'm always leery when I'm describing somebody when I do the intro because I don't want to put the cancer in there as an intro, but it's important that people know that. It's just not the way we want to introduce ourselves or be.
Right.
I don't want somebody to walk up and say, "Oh yeah, you're the cancer survivor," right? It's
Well, it's part of
you're
who we
more,
are.
more than that, though.
Definitely more. Definitely more. And the fact that, like you said, what's different or how to change my life, I always know every day that it is a miracle that I'm here. And that not one day is to be taken for granted.
I'm going to ask one more question here. 'Cause
Oh, please,
the
ask 10
two of
questions.
you are the epitome of hope and positive attitude, but yet there are many that enter that same field and doesn't work out. I'm thinking of, Gilda didn't have pancreatic cancer, but she had some
Ovarian.
sort of
Yeah.
ovarian
Ovarian.
cancer. And did everything and tried everything in positive and imaging and focusing and
Right.
all those things. So yet here are two survivors, long-term survivors, who credit at least part of that with maybe good luck, maybe good genes, but part of it with this Eastern practices. Roberta's done what, yoga or something?
Yeah, I've done yoga, meditation. We changed to, herbal supplements and organic eating. And,
Wonderful.
yeah, just all that. I had to give up my sugar, which almost killed me, but
Yeah.
it's
So it's what I think what Paul said is the key word, part of it. It's part of it. Is it a guarantee? No.
no.
But I do think a bad attitude and not doing these things is pretty much a guarantee for failure.
Well, we had that one doctor on whose name escapes me at the moment from, was it North Carolina or some big hospital?
Yes.
And he said, I won't even take on a patient if they have a negative attitude.
Yeah.
I can't prove it does anything, but I just believe if you're not positive about this, your chances go down. No,
Agreed.
and no proof of that. That's just what he believes.
Well,
right?
we're proof of it. He has
Yeah.
proof right here. We're sitting here.
Right.
I think so, because that's the one thing.
This
Is like,
vision in lavender across from me. She is proof. And she's rocking the pancreatic cancer purple.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said, it's not my favorite color, but you know what? People will ask me, "Oh, it must be your favorite color." I go, "No, but this is why I wear it." So
It's like
it
an excuse
opens
to
the
talk.
door. Yeah, it opens that door,
great.
and it's something different. But so how did you discover that humor could be a so powerful tool in your healing?
Well, I was a professional stand-up comic for many decades before I was diagnosed. I started doing stand-up in my 20s. I was diagnosed at 54. So I was already using humor as a tool in my life in general, but I also knew that what I was going through and what one goes through when they are faced with a life challenging and threatening illness is absurd. And there's a relationship between absurdity and comedy. It's like this extreme. I'll give you an example. I remember very specifically, I was supposed to throw a party. I was in the middle of my chemo treatment, and it was an annual holiday party that we always do. We call it the vodka and latke party.
I like that.
Yeah, you're invited. So I didn't want to give up the party. Why? Because I wanted to think that my life was just going on as usual, even though there's a lot of things that are completely unusual and unnatural that you go through when you're going through a treatment, right? But I was determined to have this party, and nobody was going to stop me. So I went off to the grocery store to buy the ingredients for the party, and all of a sudden realized I needed to find a bathroom yesterday, or I was going to be in big trouble. And I had the thought, it's a shame I don't get sick in the non-fancy grocery store. Like, I was in the fancy grocery store in a fancy neighborhood with the fancy people. It's like, why can't I throw up or have diarrhea at Pavilions? Why do I need to have it at the fancy place? All of this is ridiculous.
Or Ralph's, because
Ralph's, he doesn't care. Ralph is fine.
And when I was a kid, I don't know whether you know this, in the Midwest, Ralph is a euphemism for throwing up. He Ralphed.
Oh,
So that would
so
be the
thank
first
you.
one.
So
Yes,
see,
yes,
he
yes.
rewrote the joke better. Why can't I Ralph at Ralph's?
Yeah.
There you go.
So much better than, barfing at Bristol Farms. All right, so well, I don't know what we're talking about, but I love you. Where are we?
How do you laugh, though,
Yes.
at a moment like that? Because everybody wants to be positive and light, and yet it is all-consuming.
Because it's so insane. Because when you're walking along the street of your life, does anyone think someday when I grow up, if I'm lucky and I play my cards right, I'll have cancer? No.
Right.
Who thinks that way? And I had no family history. And I was, my husband's like, yeah, I have martinis and steaks. You have, yoga and tofu, and you get cancer. What's up with that? Like, it's who knows why we get what we get, right?
Right.
And you can only spend a certain amount of time thinking about that. I think it's more important to focus on what am I going to do moving forward? How am I going to deal with today? How am I going to deal with whatever challenges I have now? And the past is kind of none of my business as regard to that. Yeah, I don't know.
Did either one of you, I've asked Roberta this before, go through the classic stages of grief? I forgot who outlined these years ago, but, first is denial, can't be happening, then anger, then why me, poor me, and then negotiating. I'll tell you what, God, if you let's go, I'll be a better person or whatever, and then finally acceptance. I think those are the stages.
Yeah, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, I
That
think
was
it is.
it.
Yeah.
That was it. And Roberta kind of said, I just jumped right ahead. I wasn't going for all that.
I had the denial. I had the first one because I'm a natural optimist. So when they told me 91% of these are malignant, 9% are benign. I was like, well, I'm definitely in the group. Yeah. And then the doctor told me, and I kind of looked at him like, are you sure? Because I didn't sign up for this. Are you really, like, because I always say, if you can opt out with cancer, unsubscribe, I would pick that.
Right.
But we didn't have that option, right? So I really, I just, I don't know. Say your question again, Paul, because it was a good one.
Well, did you go through the stages of grief?
Oh, yeah,
or did
so
you
that was the
jump-
first one.
Because so many of the people come in, maybe because you're all positive and you're survivors and stuff, I don't hear people saying, oh, I struggled with why me? I struggled with I struggled with denial. I struggled with depression. I struggled with all the other things that typically happen when you have life-altering news.
No, this is again where you and I are sisters. I definitely saw the first one was denial. I did have that. I did think this is ridiculous. It must be a mistake. I said to the doctor, you have somebody else's records here. You should really check. Make sure it says Wendy Hammers because you might have,
I think if my doctor would have come back and said you don't have, I think I would have said, I think you're wrong. You better make sure you have the right record, right? Because I was so sure, because after having so many family members, I just felt like,
different
and then
situation.
so mine.
So you had a
wasn't-
history.
right? And it wasn't a like, why me? It was why not me? I mean, why am I special that I wouldn't get something like
So
this?
even though I didn't have a family history like you did, once I got through the denial, I went right to why not me? This is what happens to
Right.
people. 1 in 3 people in this country have cancer. Is that? I think that's right.
Something like
Or
that.
1 in 3 women have breast cancer. The numbers are higher than you want to think about. And so, yeah, I didn't, and then I just moved right into action. So I think I skipped those last 4 stages. I got into the fast track lane, where you pay extra
Don't
on
you
the
get
left.
angry, though,
Yeah.
and stuff? I mean, which is, again, maybe humor helps diffuse that, but I'd be too angry, oh my God, this can't be happening right now. I've got other things to do.
I didn't believe that physically being angry, the tightness and the resentment that anger has, I think there's a natural toxicity to that. And I
Yeah,
didn't think
clearly.
that would move me forward in my recovery.
Right.
So I just was focused. I didn't really consider that I would die. And I've said this a lot. It's not that I'm courageous or a genius or anything like that. I literally thought I don't have the physical, spiritual, psychological, emotional bandwidth to consider living and dying. So I'm just going to pick living and hope I'm right. And I went with that. And I knew in doing that, I couldn't really make the space for negative things. And I just want to give you one quick example of that. People always ask you when you get sick, your friends and your community, if you're lucky, you have a community of people who care about you. And they say, well, what can we do for you? And I said very clearly to people, Anybody you know who has survived this disease, I'd like their name and phone number immediately. Any bad news you have about pancreatic cancer, I want to hear it never, ever, 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 never, ever. It's none of my business. I'm not interested. Not helpful.
Right.
Do you
100%
relate to that?
agree. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's what I did.
Definitely. And that's what I loved about Aggie Hirschberg. She did not want us dwelling on the statistics,
Right.
the negative. So that was
It's not helpful.
no. So what do you say to people? Because I know I get this all the time, because I'm not as much like you, because you're the comedian. I'm not. But I do deal with my cancer, my situation with humor.
You have to.
You know, because what else is there? You either laugh or you cry.
Exactly.
So, but what do you say to others? Because I get this all the time. This is, what's so funny about having cancer? Why are you so humorous or uplifted?
It's not that it's funny, it's that humor gives you perspective on the challenge you're going through. So it allows you to get through the difficult parts. So really to think of it as a tool. No one would say to somebody who's sick, well, why are you taking that medicine? To me, laughing and humor and lightness and levity and perspective are medicine for your soul and your physical being. So I know they're required. I mean, I know, like we talked earlier before we started the show about, you know, when there's bad things going on in the world, what's your counter programming? So for every hour of doom and gloom scrolling and news there is in the world, I make sure we have a half an hour of dancing around the living room to our turntable. And it's not just because it sounds like fun. It's because I need it. My heart needs it. My life needs it.
Right.
My physical wellness needs it. Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you did, your one-woman show, Ripe?
Oh, yeah.
I watched the trailer. I loved it. But where can I see the whole thing?
Well, that's a great question. Boy, I love that question. It sounds like I paid her to ask that.
We're out of time. Sorry. Right?
The very easy answer, so we can stay focused on all of the pancreatic cancer conversation. The easiest answer is to go to wendyhammers.com, and when I'm doing the show again, it will be definitely posted there.
And what's the show about?
Ripe is a show that I wrote before I had cancer, and it is about learning how to live in this thing we have called a body, and to love the body you're in today, right now, the body you have at the age you are right now. And it came out of a lifetime of challenges with my own weight and my own body issues. And all I really wanted to be was thin. And then I got pancreatic cancer and I lost 41 pounds. And I realized,
There you go.
you know what?
There you go.
Don't recommend that diet. But
Be careful what you wish for. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But also that it wasn't that I wanted necessarily to just be thin. I wanted to feel authentic in my life. I wanted to live a life that allowed me to be freely who I was. And that was the biggest gift of pancreatic cancer. And also aging. Because as I like to say, you know, one of the great things about aging is, you know, half the time, you know, you don't care what people think of you anymore.
Right.
And the other half of the time you can't remember. So it's perfect, really, that way.
So has the show ripened? We'll throw another bad pun in
Ooh,
here.
I love this guy. Yes.
Does it ripen now that you've entered
Yes,
this
it does.
new
I
thing?
had to rewrite the ending because after the show essentially was about a dear friend of mine who died, who had breast cancer, my friend Judy. That's what the show started to be about. And then it was a coming of age, you know, story that included, you know, my marriage, my divorce, raising a child as a single mom, all these different things, all with humor, with cartwheels, with silliness. And then thinking that I'd come to acceptance of my body. When my friend died, my friend and I who were so worried about the size of our thighs our whole life, when she died, I realized she would have been happy to have any body. She didn't have a body anymore. So then I thought, okay, I finally got this. And I now understand I'm on a path to wellness. And then the woman who directed my solo show passed away.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, thank you. Lovely Karen Aschenbach. God rest her soul. And then after that, I got cancer. So it's like, how many times do I need to get this message that we have these things called bodies that are a gift, that are on loan to us for a finite period of time. We should honor them and celebrate them the best we can and not worry about whether or not your stomach's flat. Or as I like to say in my keynote talk, if you knew that today was the last day of your life, would you spend it worrying about whether or not your stomach was flat? You would not. But do we ever know, Roberta?
No,
when it's our last day, we do not. So every day is like borrowed time.
You were talking, the sign on the studio here, somebody put up humorously, because I eat black bananas because I'm too cheap to throw them away. And that's a perfect analogy of ripening. We just think, that's past its due date here. We just throw it out.
Okay, I love that you tied that in. And Paul and I are going on tour. We're going to do Vegas. We're going to Vegas. We're taking ripen to Vegas.
There
The
you
three
go.
of us, yeah.
You once asked your husband if he could love a woman with half a pancreas.
I know, it's so silly.
I love this. And what was his reply?
Well, first of all, it's so silly because he was so
First of all, I
there
want
for
to know
me.
where's the pancreas? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, really, that's actually what I said to the doctor in the denial when the first diagnosis. I said, I think you're wrong. It's not possible. I can't have pancreatic cancer. I don't even know where my pancreas is. Like, you have to. Everybody knows where the other parts are. Nobody.
Right.
Poor pancreas.
I know.
Pancreas needs a new press agent.
Yes,
it's like
definitely.
nobody. You know, he needs to go with whoever made Brussels sprouts popular. But anyhow,
Was
so
that, by the way? I don't know.
I don't know. So yeah, so Roberta, you're absolutely right. I asked my husband Garth. I said, "Do you think you could still love a woman with half a pancreas?" And of course, he laughed and he smiled and he assured me that he could. And then he said, "Believe it or not, your pancreas is not the first thing that I am attracted to." So apparently, I have other features that are as lovely as my pancreas or my half a pancreas. And
They
you
make up
are
for it.
you are a show off. You're fancy because you have a whole pancreas.
That's right. I'm
a
still
little
keeping
jelly.
mine around. Well, don't be too jealous because I just
I
don't
know.
want him to wake up so he can stay asleep.
Okay,
But
yeah,
we're
where
good,
he's
we're good.
resting.
Yes,
A long-term nap.
Yes. Who is that? Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to ask you then, if you knew today was the last day of your life, how would you spend it?
Well, definitely grateful to be right here with you. That is for sure. This is, if we can help anybody with what we've been through, it really does make the worst parts of it a lot more bearable. The last day of my life, I would spend it loving, hugging, dancing, being close to my son and my husband and the people I love dearly. And there probably would be some fruit cobbler involved. And maybe even some ice cream with dairy in it, which I don't eat that much, but I think if it was the last day, I would go for it.
Why not? It's going to be the last day, so whatever
Right.
you suffer
and,
through, it's
and
fine.
I would say every one of us is going to have a last day, and since we don't know that what that expiration date is, to really not miss today.
Right. Take today as if. Right.
I do. I really try my best to do that. I got today, and that's already ahead of the game. You know, if 87% of people who have my diagnosis do not see 5 years. So.
Well,
I'm lucky to be
unfortunately,
here.
our time goes by so fast. But before we leave you, I
Yes.
want to say, what message of hope would you leave our listeners with?
I would say that we are all here on this earth to enjoy life and to enjoy each other and to not allow whatever temporary condition you have to stop you from still feeling the beauty that life has to offer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And as long as you speak my name, I shall live forever is dedicated to comedian Bill Hicks. Bill was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in June 1993 and passed away in February 1994 at the age of 32.
A brilliant, irreverent voice he was.
Oh, I saw him on the. I remember him on the Letterman show.
good.
The one time he was on for whatever reason they wouldn't book him because he was pretty
Racy.
controversial.
Yeah. Which a comic should be.
But
Yeah.
they had him on and all the comedians, to a man or woman, said this is one of the greats.
Absolutely. No, he was a comics comic. All comics respected him.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. More good reasons to tune in. There is hope. There's advice. There's inspiration. There are ways to live with this deadly diagnosis, and a couple of great examples of how to do that. Sharing the real life stories of those really affected and how they deal with it. And if you'd like to share how you deal with it, or if you know somebody who needs to deal with it, by all means, lots of organizations out there. We talked about the Hirschberg Foundation. That's one of them. Visit pancreatic.org. For all of us here at the OC Talk Radio Network, thanks for joining us. Hoping you'll share this and join us again as we continue this journey we call Living Hope. From our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation.